During the last few laps of the 2022 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc was running P3 behind the Red Bull 1-2 of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. But in trying to get second place back from Red Bull, Ferrari made a last-minute pit stop that saw Charles and Perez fight for second place. And it was during this fight that Leclerc made the major mistake of going into the wall after spinning entirely on his own. But what does this mistake mean for Leclerc's title chances, and did he make this because he was being too greedy, or was this an honest mistake? Let's find out! Okay, so let's answer the key question right away. So in my opinion, this was an honest mistake from Charles Leclerc. So he was in a position where he's fighting for a championship, and even though he had a pretty big lead in the championship, well, we all remember what happened last year where the two drivers went into the last race tied on points. So it's normal that once Charles realizes that he's going to be behind Max for that race because honestly the Red Bull was a superior car, it's normal that he wants to maximize his position. So once he sees that Sergio Perez is right there ahead of him, it's pretty normal that he wants to get past him because even though it's just a few points from second to third, well, we don't know if the championship is going to get to a point where those points are the difference between winning or losing the championship. As I said last year, between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, they went into the last race actually tied on points, so it's really important to maximize every single point you can get, especially in a part of the season where the Ferrari seem to have the stronger car. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying on the internet that Charles Leclerc only pitted to get that fastest lap point. Now, in my opinion, Ferrari would not risk actually pitting Leclerc just for that fastest lap point because for 1 point, he may as well push the car himself with the tires that he had instead of making an extra pit stop where everything could go wrong. So remember back to Bottas in Monaco last year where he actually lost the second place because of a botched pit stop. Well, Ferrari would not risk that for 1 point. So they were trying to pit Leclerc in order for him to get past Sergio, and they almost did it. It was a very impressive pit stop and a very impressive effort, but in the end Leclerc made an honest mistake in trying to get those points. Now, this is the kind of mistake that Charles Leclerc cannot make if he's going to fight for a championship. It was a very interesting mistake from Charles because if you noticed, back in qualifying and during the sprint and during the Grand Prix, Charles was gaining all that time in that chicane where he crashed. So he was much faster than any other driver over the weekend because he was able to take that much curb going into the chicane. Therefore, he was able to carry a high average top speed when compared to the Red Bull drivers. So this was where he was making his time both in qualifying and during the races to Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez because the Ferrari was able to take more curb. Now, in this instance, Charles took a little bit more of curb, and once that right wheel went over the curb at that angle, well, then he was very lucky not to DNF and go straight into the wall. So very good car control from Charles to not go into the wall and to not lose it, but I just think that he overcooked it a little bit. But this is the kind of honest mistake that you cannot make in a championship fight, because when you're fighting someone who has the experience of having a championship go down to the wire, such as Max Verstappen, well, you cannot make these kind of mistakes where you crash on your own, because if you remember back to last year, Max didn't really make any of these mistakes and the championship went down to the wire. So we didn't see a situation where Max went into the wall by himself. It was only when he crashed with Lewis Hamilton. There's actually another very interesting point that I want to bring up about the Imola Grand Prix weekend. So Ferrari announced that they were not going to bring the planned upgrades that they had for Imola and up until Miami or Spain. And I honestly think that this was a very big mistake because Ferrari's headquarters is of course in Italy, so it's very close to the Imola track, so they could have at least tried them on for free practice one. Now, I understand that they don't want to break their updates during a sprint race, but it's getting up to a point where Red Bull now has a faster car because Ferrari hasn't been upgrading. So Red Bull, of course, brought a major upgrade between the two preseason tests, and they have been bringing small updates to the floor and to the front wing over the course of the first few races, whereas Ferrari has left the car in a steady state. Now, this is not necessarily a bad approach because, especially in Australia, Ferrari was untouchable and they had the best car by far. But I think that they got a little bit too greedy with not bringing updates to Imola, and I think that it just shows us that Red Bull overall has the best car. So in my opinion, the Honda power unit or the Red Bull Powertrains power unit is better than the Ferrari, at least for now. It's rumored that Ferrari are going to tune their engine up once the Spanish Grand Prix comes up, but for now I think that Honda has the best power unit, and I just think that that combination of the Honda having the best power unit with Red Bull finally having caught up to Ferrari when it comes to overall downforce in the car really means that the Red Bull is now the more powerful car of the two. Now, I don't think that this is championship over for Ferrari. That's not what I'm trying to sound. I just think that Ferrari really needs to bring that update package that they were supposed to bring to Imola. I think that they really need to bring it. Because I think that the Ferrari F175 is actually on par with the Red Bull RB18 if it gets a little bit less draggy. So one of the things that the Red Bull seems to be doing much better than the Ferrari is controlling that aerodynamic drag. So they seem to have much greater top speed in the straights. And you saw this on the Charles Leclerc versus Sergio Perez battle, where Leclerc at the end of the straight didn't have the top speed to match Sergio Perez. And something that Ferrari also needs to get on top of is actually the porpoising problem. So if you look at the Red Bull and at the Ferrari, you see that the Ferrari on those long straights is porpoising up and down the straight a lot, and even more than the Mercedes in my opinion. So Ferrari seems to have the porpoising problem under control when it comes to braking zones, because once the driver hits the brake pedal and the airflow reattaches to the bottom of the floor, the car seems to be able to generate a lot of downforce, and this is a problem that the Mercedes have. So when the driver hits the brake pedal in the Mercedes, the driver doesn't seem to get all of that downforce back, such as in the Ferrari. But when you take a look at the Red Bull compared to those cars, you see that the Red Bull has a much more stable platform. Now, I've seen a great video by Craig Scarborough over on Formula One Tech Time, where he explains that the Red Bull is actually trying to produce downforce with the front end of the floor in a very clever way that Ferrari was not able to replicate yet. So they are using a cutout in order to get the airflow from the undercut section into the floor and then be able to generate a lot of downforce in that front end of the floor. And this seems to balance the front and rear of the car in a way that Ferrari has not been able to achieve. And what this means is that since the car is more balanced, the porpoising problem seems to be under control. So once you see the Red Bull on that straight, you see that the car is not porpoising, and even if the Ferrari is able to attach itself better and not to suffer from the porpoising problem as much as the Mercedes, porpoising is not only a problem when it comes to car behavior, because in the case of the Ferrari it doesn't seem to affect the car behavior. It's also a problem when it comes to driver feeling, because imagine how much more stable and safe the drivers feel once they have a stable platform underneath them, such as the Red Bull drivers, whereas the Ferrari doesn't inspire as much confidence to the driver because it's bouncing up and down all over that straight. Okay, so those are my thoughts on the Imola crash, and I really think that Charles Leclerc cannot make more of these mistakes. Now, he has been driving a brilliant season to fight up against Max Verstappen, but we have seen that Red Bull-Verstappen partnership is again very strong, and Max actually managed to score every single point that he could this weekend. So he scored the max points that he could, except for the fastest lap, I think. So he really is mounting a championship comeback, so Leclerc really needs to be careful, and both him and Ferrari really need to bring their A game to this season if they are going to beat Red Bull. And just before I go, I want to give you guys a quick note. So I haven't been posting as many videos or making my usual live streams because I've been buried deep in university work. So as many of you may know, I'm taking a mechanical engineering master's degree with the goal of one day working in Formula One. So I've been buried in work, and I really want to post these videos as often as possible, but I also want to assure that every video has the quality standards that you guys have come to know and love. So I'm not going to rush any videos, I'm just going to make these videos once I have the time, and hopefully the university is going to calm down over the next couple of weeks, so I will be able to bring back those live streams and those high quality videos. But in the meantime, that's been it for this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out my latest video right here or my latest live stream right here, and be sure to turn on those notifications to know every single time I go live. So with that said, that's been it for this video. Really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!